And so, don't you think he started that type of thing? And people were very interested to know why he put certain people in certain places. And you don't think he can also give us reasons why he's taken certain people out? It is something that we should do. Look, I feel, Doc, I feel we look at our presidents as gods. And that is a challenge for me. Because Nyansa in any good dream, yes, you have ultimate power, but that ultimate power sometimes can go wrong. You can take wrong decisions and you lead the country into a wrong ditch. When we're taking the loans that we were taking, did the president tell Oforiatta, guy, hang on, where we are going, it's not going to bode well for us? Did he? And you don't think we should be more open in terms of when we take decisions and give reasons why? Because it's the people who have given you their mandate. And you are responsible to the people. And your responsibility to the people has got to do with service. You're trying to tell me that we should keep quiet for any president to come and do whatever they want to do because they have a vision? I beg to differ.
Okay. Nick-Papa, we're talking about the ministerial reshuffle, and so far the thoughts around the studio basically divided. On one hand, we're being told that it's a political move calculated for purposes of the election in 2024 because it is not in the nature of, or it has not been in the nature of the president to do any major shakeups. On the other breath, we're being told that the president can do what he feels is necessary at a particular point in time for purposes that, if you want to say political, yes, everything that is done is political because his election was political, governance is political one way or the other. And so as a Ghanaian, speaking as a Ghanaian and for purposes of moving the country forward, there's absolutely nothing wrong with a ministerial reshuffle, especially when you feel that, and Mr. Kwesi Boafo said it at the beginning, that it is possible that people may exit when the applaud is loudest. And so he believes that, and I believe Mr. Kwesi Boafo, that's what you said, that the finance minister leaving at this point when the applause is highest, I believe that's what you implied is the best way to go, because no, we can't write the history of Ghana or the history of the past few years without mentioning the critical role that Ken Ofori-Atta has played in terms of resuscitating the economy from when they took over in 2017. Yes. And all that. I'm just trying to tell you what the positions have been, because as usual you're a late comer, and so you would only have just a few minutes because we need to move on to just yeah.
Well, I don't need too much time when the topic is not anything controversial. The point is simple. It's like you are moving. You have an application in court, and you want to find out whether, yes, the application that has been brought is legal, but you clearly know the reason why the person is bringing it. He's bringing it other than the real reason why the rule had been constructed. So it's clear that, yes, President Danado is exercising a constitutional right that has been given to him. So there's nothing unlawful about what he's done. Other than that, I'm sure there would have been a Supreme Court writ already there challenging his action, even though yesterday there was a constitutional issue raised about a portion of, the wording of the communication. He said he had revoked the appointments of these ministers and then sought to literally reappoint them by shuffling them around to other ministries, some of them to other ministries. And the language is clear. If you revoke the appointment, J.H. Mensah, you cannot just reappoint them. They have to go through the appointment process all over again. And so it seems there's a lacuna there that has to be looked at. Controversy has arisen. I think those who manage the president's correspondence these days have to sit up. Last week we mentioned the fact that they were quoting the wrong law in respect of the Local Government Act. I drew my learned friend's consumer's attention to same. He acknowledged, I don't know whether he will retract it and rephrase it again. Then we come back again to this issue of revocation. Clearly, if the language had been that the standard, the practice that if you move a minister from a linear movement from one ministry to the other, there's no need for parliamentary reverting because the minister moving from one position to the other, and the appointment is to a ministerial position, it's not to a particular ministry. But when you revoke the appointment, automatically the person loses his position and so necessarily has to be reappointed. And so I think that the NDC side, especially Honorable Roxton as usual, has raised the issue, and I expect the president and his people to do the necessary. He cannot withdraw the communication.
Yeah, but they said they had relieved the following ministers
Yes.
and deputy ministers of their portfolios in government with immediate effect. That's part A. And when you come to part C, where some of them have been, it says reassign, and it says the president has reassigned
No, there was
the following.
There was a controversy yesterday. There was a controversy yesterday in Parliament over the issue of the wedding that went to the communication. So I think that if your correspondents, were there, they would have listened in. It's a live issue now.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, that we have the communication.
So if you relieve them, then the word was relieved. If you've relieved them of the position, it's not as if you are reassigning them. So that's the point that
I get what
even
you're saying,
Afenyo Makin read that probably is just a miscommunication.
Because I get what you're saying. So relieving sort of.
Exactly. They went to the wedding of how a minister or deputy minister can be removed from office. But that's just the start. Parliament has taken it up. I know the NDC minority has said that they intend to go to court in respect of the matter. So, but that's how GH Mensa came about. When in our tide we sought to literally say that once the person was one government moving to the next, we didn't need parliamentary approval.
Yeah, but you see that one, it was a bit clear cut because.
No, but you know that Parliament actually passed the resolution.
Yes,
given a format, and even that we still had to go through the issue of
because the Constitution is clear.
These are the things that help us to grow our Constitution. So the thing I wanted to draw attention to is the fact that sometimes some of these things are avoidable because we've had prior situations where ministers have been moved from one position to the other, and the word had not been that they had been relieved. So
but even that, just to sidetrack still a little bit, even that practice, should it continue? If because we need, and this is what I'm saying, and we're sidetracking a little bit. You are appointed as a minister, say for sports.
No, but you're not appointed as a minister. You are nominated.
No, you are nominated. You're nominated
as a minister.
A minister of state specifically for sports. You go there, everything or almost everything is directed at
the ministry that you have been nominated for.
Then you're being reassigned and sent to finance. We don't know anything about you.
Government experts have agreed that we should have a situation where you come back
and come and tell us
the vetting goes so that we know what you have done, and then we are able to, so that if there are some cobwebs that you need to answer for, you answer for.
But it depends on Parliament, doesn't it?
That's what Parliament.
Parliament can say.
Parliament per se cannot like. See, when you're a deputy minister, you are being moved to a ministerial position. They have an opportunity to vet you. But when you are moving in a linear, they call it a linear shift. It becomes difficult for Parliament unless Parliament and the executive come to some agreement, and or the Parliament asserts itself oversight and says that no, when you are, but even that, I'm probably an attorney general who thinks that it's not within the wording of the Constitution. May advise the president not to agree. So perhaps if all of us decide that, look, as part of good democratic governance, we want to ensure that at all material times, as part of the oversight responsibility of Parliament, they would have an opportunity to look at the tenure of office of somebody who is moving from one position to the other. And so by necessary practice, they should bring the person back for some form of vetting. I think it will be good.
But yesterday I heard on the news that Parliament can decide whether to have a vetting or not.
Oh yes, they did it especially
where the person has been a minister
Correct.
before.
So in the
they can decide that
in the JH Mensah case, what they decided to do was to pass a parliamentary resolution
Yes,
and approve all the
approve,
lists.
exactly.
Instead of taking them through the vetting.
Yeah, but that was
process.
deemed to be
let's-
unconstitutional.
Well, they never so not the so they submitted.
Yeah,
the list.
so afterwards.
Aha,
yeah, yeah, I
afterwards,
get
what they
you're saying,
decided
yeah.
to do was to just pass them
Yeah.
by list. So all those who had been renominated were simply passed by a resolution of parliament because parliament is the master of its own rules. But anyway, that's just by the
And
by.
that process hasn't been rescinded.
Lawrence, you wanted to say
No,
something?
I was just thinking aloud. So we have a president with a vice president. Vice president doesn't automatically become a president. Has to go for. No, I'm just trying to build a. Vice president doesn't automatically become president, even if the party that he was. You go through another process internal.
election,
All
yeah.
that also goes for, should I say, vetting by Ghanaians,
Okay.
and becomes president. I'm also on that basis. I'm thinking, okay, so a deputy minister is not the ultimate decision maker at the ministry. So once they are going to be elevated to be minister, it's just fair to understand what they are
Bring in.
understanding or they are bringing to that level. But if you also come to the ministers and the way we do our vetting, with the little that I've seen, it's usually not about the technicality of the ministry. It's usually about what leadership qualities you bring on board, and if there are any other things that needs to be clarified. That's the vetting. When you look at the way people are vetting, they'll ask you, what do you have for this and all that. So for me, maybe to make our systems better is something we can consider. But if someone is moving and it's not solely technical, because ministries are set up with all these technical people, all these advisors to make sure that whatever the vision you're coming in, because before anybody is appointed as minister, they have a conversation with the appointing authority to understand what the vision is in that ministry and how it must be executed. So if you're a minister, you've been sitting in cabinet, you've been helping with decision making, because when it comes to decision making in the other ministries and all that, they are all part of it, whatever we all do, because it's a bigger vision that you are all implementing aspects of. So I think that's a bit, we also need to be careful how we,
But let me ask the
Yeah.
question. Let me ask the question.
yes,
Making my bite.
In our process of vetting,
yes.
how many people have been vetted and have been denied by the vetting
Or a
commission?
number.
Well, that one is another conversation.
What number? But we don't. I don't have all
what has the reason been?
Oh, there have been different reasons. For example, if you are a dual citizen,
No, but how
No,
many
no.
of you? No, I don't remember anybody being.
Nobody.
Not being
some
approved.
dual citizens, yes. I
Approved?
remember.
Yes.
oh, there have been numbers that have not been approved.
No,
Ooh.
not based on
Some
their
of it
capacity.
No, Ni, give us
Not
an
on their
example.
competence.
Not based on their capacity or competence.
Nobody has been.
It has always been
that's
an
not- I
outside.
know
It
some
has
have been
always been an
withdrawn.
outside.
Some have been withdrawn.
It has
Yeah.
been an outside reason, and I know a few of them who had to do with dual citizenship, which they didn't reveal at the time.
It's not
and
always
were
about
asked.
dual citizenship.
No,
There
I'm
have been
saying
issues
some.
about
I'm
competence.
saying some.
Really?
I'm saying some. I haven't
people,
seen.
they withdrawn. See,
Withdrawn,
sometimes
yeah.
they don't allow it
remember
to
one.
go
Yeah.
to the preliminary, but they have been withdrawn in the background based on sometimes even
How
national
many?
security reports.
How many?
Oh, by the time of it, you don't get
How
to
many?
here in the open.
Ah.
We are
Governance
talking
is not always about the open.
I'm saying
No,
the
but
point
Ni-
I'm trying to make is that when,
No,
when
so
the
let's-
president,
talking
when
about
the president
vetting, no.
nominates,
let me move
No,
into my.
so before you move into, so I think, and it's part of a broader national conversation that we're having here, and it's good that
Yeah.
the ministerial reshuffle is bringing this
Yeah.
up. That shouldn't, and it's good you raised the point that the types of vetting we do. Really, I mean, if you've seen that, I know all of us here have witnessed nomination
You were
approval
Danny Hall
processes
Danny
in
Hall
some-
prefect and
in some parts of the world,
Yeah.
and the rigor.
it's the quality of the staff that you have at the parliament. The point is the background checks. You know, understand? If you have, for example, sometimes I look at the nominations for Supreme Court judges and judges, for example. The American Bar Association would bring in their reports. Every single decision you have made sometimes is scrutinized.
Yeah.
You have a situation where sometimes the parliamentary staff, if you don't have the aids to do the technical
work,
background checks and all, and the only thing you rely on is the national security background check. Sometimes and the CVs that they present, it might be difficult. And remember also that our system is more of the executive system where it is the vision of the president. So you cannot go and sit there as a minister and say, I have a vision to do this, I have a vision to do that. It's not your vision, it's the vision of the president. But maybe the technical competence, we need to look more at the technical competence and how you deliver. But let me dovetail into my concerns. I said,
my brother, let me come in a
Okay,
little bit.
all right.
Just 1 minute. You see, we are a country that a lot of things are in work in progress.
yeah.
And even in parliament, we need to improve a lot of things. You know, I'm the head of the public sector in Ghana, so I understand quite a fair idea of the activities in the ministries and then the agencies, because I read a lot about them, because a lot of information comes to me. You know, it is not everybody who may have the time to know what is happening in other areas. It is like that. So if somebody is appointed to a place that is actually quite different from what he was holding before, you know, we need to know. Well, how will he fare in that area? Some people are quick learners. They can easily adapt. They can easily act. Some people are versatile. But the others, you know, it may take them some time. Let me tell you honestly, if you are appointed as a new man, freshman, into any ministry, the minimum that would take you is about 6 months.
Yeah, that's true. It's fundamental.
Yeah, to get to get to the table.
Yeah.
But it take you a lot of time to learn. For the past 8 years, I need to wake up 2 a.m. to read a lot. 2 a.m. every day. You get up, sit down, and read
That's
what
the
is
only time
happening.
you have.
Yes, because a lot of questions will come.
To report.
Yes, a lot will go into the report. So, personally, if they ask you, Kusibuafu, do you know this? You shouldn't be that, oh, I want to refer to this. You should be abreast. The media can call you at any point in time. You can call me about finance. You can call me about industry. You can call me about agriculture. You can call me about a whole lot of things, including sports. So why am I speaking about sports, what's happening in the Brass Stars and all that? You have to address yourself. So it is time that we need to address this. Parliament can sit down. What they have done before, they must really look at this critically so that we improve. Everything is work in progress, and I think Parliament can improve. And also improve the quality of people who vet the ministers.
And that's what I was going to even come to, that the quality of the MPs themselves, and how we monetize. No, it's a conversation that we run away from.
We'll have to have.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a popularity contest. It's not about generally speaking. I mean, I know people would not want to say this or admit
Are you
it,
saying
but
it's a popularity contest? Is that what you're saying?
for MP,
Yes.
the way our current delegate system and primary system is.
It's monetized.
Yes.
But anyway, let me just
Monetize
monetized. It is monetized. A lot of people
That's a
who are qualified otherwise will not stand.
Yes.
And
And if you stand, you won't even win.
win.
But
anyway,
how is the selection process?
well, let
Well, that's a
like
larger
Mr.
conversation.
conversation. We'll have a conversation.
There are
about
lots
it.
of things.
But let me
There are
just
lots of things that if you really want to delve in.
Are we ready to change?
Come again.
I think it's a
let me just land. Let me let down on the fact. The president exercised his constitutional right to do his.
You have 1 minute.
Yes, don't worry, please. The president exercised his constitutional right to do his reshuffle. But what was the real reason for this reshuffle? And that's why I
you are
think
going
that.
to tell me you know the real reason.
Oh, the real reason is because you see, we are allowed to assess the decision based on past pronouncements by the president, and then we can make whether it was in good faith or it was malafide.
Oh, for the country.
Now, this is a president who has openly declared that he does not believe in reshuffles. And if you compare his record to that of his predecessors, the evidence is clear. He probably thinks that you allow the person time so that he will be able to make the impact that you want. Others have in the past believed that if you keep the person too long there, it also has its advantages and disadvantages. So it is
breeds content.
well, it's up for debate, because some have also argued that if you don't give the person time, the person cannot make an impact. But we clearly can also see that, and that's one of the things I said here last week, that one of the vexed issues for me and for all of us Ghanaians is the issue of the finance ministry. There has been this debate, and if you realize in his lecture, in Dr. Bawumia's lecture as the flag bearer of the MPP, he has announced policy alternatives that I considered, or I stated last week, as being reasonable, in the sense that these are clear departures from what is currently happening. For a vice president who is the head of the economic management, I said it was my personal label, to say that tax initiatives that have been initiated and approved by the government, that he is the vice president, he disagrees with them. That is a major policy debate, if you ask me, internally, between the one who is in charge of the fiscal policy of government, as opposed to the one who is supposed to be heading the economic management team, which is, if you look at his own website, in charge of what? Implementation of government policy. So there's always been that allegation, and that look, the vice president is not in charge of the fiscal, implementation or the fiscal policies of government, and that he has a debate or a certain issue with the finance minister. And so if the finance minister has been shifted after so much agitation by Ghanaians and others, and someone like Mr. Amin has been brought in, perhaps observers are allowed to speculate that maybe this is an opportunity, or this is a statement that, look, there's a transition in terms of governance, that the vice president now is being allowed, because he's now the leader of the MPP as the flag bearer and potentially the successor to the sitting president. He's been allowed now more room to be able to have a say in the fiscal and monetary policies of this government, so that now he's the head. And so now that you potentially are going to be the one in charge, now I'm giving you the opportunity, put your people there and let's see. So if you look at some of the people there, they are deemed to be very closely aligned to the vice president, and perhaps that from other observers, the current the income, it's speculation. I'm saying that people are making those. Well, people are making those.
Politics and government, I can say there's a big family that we are all members.
Perception.
That is how you say it.
Exactly.
We are all members.
Perception sometimes is actually the reality in politics. The reality to you may actually not be, and that the perception alone may actually carry.
It is a big
so use the perceptions to speak.
Oh, but yes. After all, we all had the perception that
generally we know each other. And we know ourselves.
Exactly.
That is it. That is what you say.
When the vice president was giving his lectures, we all
But
believed
know
that he was about the best
Otherwise,
in the economy. But now, see, okay, so let me just stay on course. I was trying to distract me. Now, the other thing for me is about the issue of the vice president and his ability to see to the end some of these, or what his views are on some of the key economic issues moving forward. Now that this reshuffle has happened, and God willing, these ministers should be allowed, I believe, to take up the responsibilities, we will see whether they will have an impact, especially on our economy. Because for me, the economy is the number one issue on the table. Ghana is in default. Our forex regime is in trouble. Fuel has just gone up. So this new minister has a lot of expectations riding. What is he bringing on board between now and the end of the tenure of this government that will fundamentally shift things around? Now you cannot talk about Ken Ofori-Atta, because Ken Ofori-Atta is no longer the Minister of Finance. And so this new minister, what is he bringing on board? Some of the other people too are members, some of the new nominees are persons who are MPs who are in very, what I'll call swing constituencies. So for example, my good friend Sly, who is now Englishy, the Englishy seat.
Yeah.
Then you look at
But,
Dokua, you look at a few of them, you kind of see that look. These
Dokia
are-
wasn't appointed anywhere. She's still where she is.
No, she is from.
Oh, you mean
no, this isn't
there's
Dokua,
no
no.
Dokia.
Oh,
Dakwan.
Dakwan. So
Dakwan.
she's not the one from Ikopon, right?
No,
No,
because
no, no.
She's not the MP. This is
Dakwa is Kwaikwe is out.
Kaikwe. So this is the one who is now won.
Gender.
The gender lady is now the PC.
No, she's
No.
member of parliament for Kwaikwe South. And she went for
Dokia was a Kropon. She's still deputy trade minister.
Oh, she's still deputy
Yeah.
trade.
Yeah.
And then the
Dakwan
You're
Newman
talking
has
about
now been
Dakwan
made
Newman.
gender.
gender, and
Yeah.
she's now.
She's at the. She's a sitting MP.
Exactly.
Okay. So some of the
She
some of
moved
the
from one area to the other.
no, she wasn't the one. I confused the names.
Okay.
Some of these PCs from where I sit are PCs that are sitting especially in Greater Accra and some other areas on what I would term as swing seats that are a bit vulnerable. And so if you are given the ministerial position, well, the assumption is that you come with a bit more, you have something to be able to fight your campaign with. At least if you are a minister, it comes with a little wit. So let's see. If you look at Okwe, for example, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Health, Dr. Okoboy, he is going again for Lejokuku. So if you are Minister for Health, perhaps it comes with a bit more on the table and allows you to move a little more, maybe if you want to do a health screening exercise.
Trying to say that there's something in
No. I'm saying
No.
that when you are made minister, you understand, and especially if you look at the seats. That's why I said, where I sit, I will look at some of the seats, and you can clearly see that these are seats that are either persons who are coming back and attempting to take the seats, or they are seats that, in our opinion, are vulnerable, and so there are attempts to reinforce those seats by giving those people ministerial positions. And of course, if you are given a ministerial position and you cannot take advantage of those ministerial positions, not corruptly, but if you cannot take advantage of those ministerial positions to strengthen your stronghold on those, because after all, half of the people who go or who become MPs are striving to be ministers. That's the basic truth. They want to catch the eye of the president. Other than that, why the struggle to become an MP? I've always said that it actually makes no sense to me, some of the people who fight to become MPs. Because if the stories we hear about them living and becoming indebted and all those things are true, then why would they fight to be there? Why don't you fight to become a deputy chief executive or a chief executive of a public institution? Why would you fight to be a minister?
So who will be in the legislature?
No, but the point is, they are not there because, I mean, that's the truth.
No, but this perception.
It's a constitutional thing. Even.
yes.
Majority of the
must
Yes,
be
but you see, it is not because
I agree with you
it's genuinely
100%.
born out of a desire to
No,
come and serve Ghana.
But
I agree with you 100%.
But there are some
And
people
that's
who
why.
would.
No, that's why.
but-
That's why I feel like at a certain point we must have a
We
conversation
have to have a conversation about the
of going
quality.
back to, say, the 1979
Yes.
constitutional regime, where you are either a member of parliament
Yes.
Yes.
or you're a
It
minister.
will help.
It will solve a
This
lot of
mixed
the
breed
problems.
thing is
No, but
uh,
the other perception too is, on the tangent of perceptions, the other perception too is being a minister can cost you your seat.
oh Lord,
Yeah, there are perceptions of people.
if you look-
Yes, there are perceptions
That
of
they don't have
people
time
who've
to
lost
go.
their
who are
seats.
just not politically as you. But let me just finish. I'm
There are
just
people
rounding
who
up.
perceived to have lost their seat because
well,
they were
because
ministers,
they were not
and there were a
in
lot
tune.
of expectations of them from their constituents,
Yes.
and they couldn't meet them. And they voted
So
them
that's why
out.
we should. That's why we
so
should.
have
separate
a
the two.
perception.
No, you
when
see,
it-
so just to conclude, I'm saying that, look,
We need to move on.
the president has done what he has to do. I think that my party, the NDC, has also taken note, even though we've described it as late in the game with very little to add, especially because we've been calling for this ministerial reshuffle, perhaps to have saved the economy. For me, the thing is the economy. And this morning, when you feel it when you are buying fuel, you feel it in your pocket. It is because of the forex exchange losses that we are suffering. Part of the reason why the fuel prices have gone up. And so we need to look at it carefully. I'm praying that this Minister of Finance succeeds. At least if within the next 6 months he's able to bring down inflation, able to stabilize our CD to dollar and bring it down from 12.5 now to probably half of it. At least we'll see him as a hero. No, maybe he's coming with something new. I mean, and since the perception is that he's
Your expectation is high.
my expectation is very high because
He's just being mischievous.
Oh, no.
Yeah, very, very mysterious. He's just being
because
mysterious.
now that we have a flag bearer in the person of Dr. Bawumia, now that the one who most people say he was not listening to has been removed and taken to an ambassadorial position, we believe that he now is in charge, properly in charge of the economy.
How is he in charge?
He's flag
The
bearer
one
of the new
person
patriotic
the one person who will be hearing that he's not been, and you've heard the rumor that he's not been listened to. Don't pretend as if you've not heard that. One of the things that he has been out there is that whatever advice is, and remember he kept emphasizing that the economic management is an advisory body.
It is.
You understand?
that is true.
Now
It
somebody
is.
who is deemed to be very close to you is now the Minister of Finance, and so we would expect
But
that
serving at whose pleasure?
The president.
the 7, and if the president was not prepared, and I think we should give the president credit. The president has at least listened. Look, this president could have decided that Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta would be the Minister of Finance till the end. You can't do it focal.
But he didn't.
But if he believes, I think that you see, sometimes let's also be fair. This is somebody who has given his vice president an opportunity and has literally, even though he didn't verbally openly support him, has done something which has literally cost him some of his key friends like Alan Tremanti and co. There have been serious protests in the party about the fact that he has literally foisted his own successor onto the party. And at the end of the day, one of the things that have also been used against him is this Minister of Finance. That this Minister of Finance is the cause and bane of some of the problems of the party. The man has removed him. And you are telling me that the sitting vice president, who is the next in line in terms of succession, if he wins the presidency, will not have a say as to who the Minister of Finance, when the Ministry of Finance is, or the issues of finance are at the heart of this campaign. That would be childish. The man's preference is now the Minister of Finance, and I said that with no apologies.
So NDC has everything in MPP, including preferences.
They don't know anything about their
preferences.
party.
So it's about the fact that
They know everything about MPP, not
excuses,
NDC.
the excuses that
Hey.
are available to Dr. Bawumia these days will not be available anymore, because by and large, his man is now the Minister of Finance. Unless somebody is telling me that he had no say or no influence in the appointment of he's not yet the Minister of Finance, but in the nomination of this person, I mean, as the Minister of Finance. Come on, the man has some say and some control in it. And as it is,
He's not yet.
He's always
Actually,
advised.
that he's not yet been appointed. He's not yet been approved. He's a deputy minister.
No, he's not.
No,
a
it's
deputy
Oh, so he's a
Minister
minister.
of State.
It's like, okay, so if
So he's-
Parliament will go by that, he is
Yeah.
the Minister of Finance. Let's take it as the Minister of Finance. So be it. You understand? We expect that. But the ones who are minister are they straight away?
Yeah.
Well, because I'm thinking that maybe if he's the minister
As Minister of State, they don't
Minister
have
of
to
State.
We had this discussion before you.
Okay, no problem. So I just hope and pray that the CD turns around, and that at the end of the day we stop defaulting. So within the next 6 or 7 months, Ghana will be back to the position to be able to pay.
How does that help?
position?
How does that help the NDC?
Which
No,
position?
but why? Why should Ghana suffer before NDC will come to power? No.
Everything
We have
you said
every
is from the
belief.
NDC
We have
perspective.
every belief in the sitting vice president to be able to turn things around based on the fact that now his person is the Minister of Finance. So we expect that just as he inherited the CD at 4 cedis to the dollar, we will be seeing the CD shifting back to the 4 CD to the dollar. Because as I always make the analogy, we have the
And where was
Mahama
it-
Forex
and
Bureau.
where was the city? Where was the city when Mahama took over?
He was 4 CDs to the dollar.
From
No,
where?
4 CD,
From-
no.
from where?
From where?
From where?
No, please. The Mahama Forex Bureau, as at 2016, was 4 CDs to the dollar.
From
As
where?
at now, the Bawumia Forex Bureau is 12.5 to the dollar.
And when
you picked it up, what was the exchange rate?
2016.
Where was it?
2016, he was leaving.
When you pick the
When-
exchange rate, it was what?
At the start, where was
Go
it?
back
wait,
to
wait,
when
wait,
NDC
wait.
took
I don't
over
understand
in
this.
2009.
President Mahama was deemed to be incompetent. And at his incompetent best, the CD was 4 CDs to the dollar.
Yes, but
At the competent best
At
of the
what
sitting vice
percentage?
president, it's now 12 CDs
At
to
what
the dollar.
percentage
You want to tell me
increase?
that I shouldn't expect that President,
That's what percentage increase.
Vice President Baumia, now that his Minister of Finance has been put there, will be able to turn things around. It's my prayer.
So that's all you're concerned.
Yeah,
The
my
Ministry
prayer.
of Finance. What about the other?
Oh, the others
portfolios?
are not really of importance. The finance issues. Oh, the finance issues are.
Others-
I'm buying fuel. You're not buying. Okay, you're not
Hey,
buying fuel. That's
you
why.
must
No,
have been
you're not
starting.
buying fuel. You're not buying
Who
fuel.
said
So you
I'm
don't know
not
that
buying
fuel
fuel?
is up.
She's not buying fuel because of what?
She's a government appointee, so she knows that.
Is that your perception?
Okay. So fuel is up.
Is that your perception
know
of
you were buying
that
Please
people
stop
don't buy fuel?
sidetracking us. All right, so moving on. You've talked.
So I'm
Moving
sure
on
that my letter see that. Say you've seen the fuel prices.
Yes, yes,
Uh-huh.
it's going up.
It's going up. No, she's not aware. That's
No,
why
I
I'm.
don't fuel this
The,
morning.
the,
okay,
next
no,
time,
that does
the
go down.
next time it comes down,
You want to
sit
say
here
exactly.
and you dram it.
Oh, I'll be
It's
here.
been coming
It's
down.
gone up.
You've
So I
never
just want
said
people
it.
to know that fuel has gone up.
I hope you to dram
But
it.
it
And
went
it
down
is as a
before.
result of the forex.
I hope you to
forex
dram it.
regime. You know,
Yes,
when
the forest was
fundamentals-
even 14.
Uh,
It was 14 at a certain point in time,
Yes.
and it is no longer there.
Yes.
It's
Why
come
did
down.
you say that? It got to 14.
It got
Now-
to 17.
You go, okay,
It got to
was it
17.
at the black
when the
market?
fundamentals,
Probably, yes.
when the
It
fundamentals
was
are weak.
17. Is it 17 again?
Okay.
Is it 17?
So we are happy that it's gone down to 12.
Very good. This
But
is
we
what
are
we
praying
need to
that
emphasize.
it's
Balance.
Yeah, but you see that
So
Need a balance.
we're moving on to dovetailing into the second conversation. I mean, we've even started having that conversation already about the vice president. He has made sure that he has gone there already. There's still feedback
Yeah, he's
from his
fantastic.
speech,
Yeah.
and I want us to talk a
NDC
little
will
bit.
not stop thinking
I
about
know.
him.
I want.
love him.
I wanted to talk a little bit about his vision for Ghana. So I'll read out the first 3 paragraphs of his speech, and then we would all take have a say in terms of the specifics and what we expect and all that. So this is what the vice president said, and I quote: "As vice president, I am like a driver's mate. But if by the grace of God you make me president, I will be in the driver's seat with constitutionally mandated authority to pursue my vision and priorities. So, what do I want to do in terms of vision, priorities, and policies if you give me the opportunity by the grace of God to become president of the Republic of Ghana? Ladies and gentlemen, in this regard, I have been engaged in a lot of consultation and doing a lot of thinking in the last few months about lessons of the last 7 years. Need pay attention to what the vice president said. He said he had been engaged in a lot of consultation and doing a lot of thinking in the last few months about lessons of the last 7 years, as well as my vision and priorities as I seek to become president of the Republic of Ghana. Clearly, the initial conditions that we inherited in 2017 are not the same as will be in 2025. Therefore, my priorities will be different. We have done many good things and I will be seeking to build on them. My vision is to create a tent big enough to accommodate all our people, to tap into the resourcefulness and talents of our people irrespective of our different ethnic, political, and religious backgrounds, to channel our energies into building the kind of country that assures a food self-sufficient, safe, prosperous, and dignified future for all Ghanaians, to create sustainable jobs with meaningful pay for all, and for Ghana to participate fully in the 4th Industrial Revolution using systems and data." Then he goes on to talk about how to realize the vision. That's where he outlines specific policy interventions and other initiatives that he would take. So we'll start with Mr. Kwesi Boafo. Your 2 a.m. readings, I'm sure you read this one as well. What and there's still a lot of debates and a lot of comments following, and this speech has been about 2 weeks ago now, right? And there's still a lot of commentary on the vice president's speech. Like Nii has put out there, a lot is riding on the next few months. He believes, and I'm just paraphrasing him, he believes that the ministerial reshuffle, for instance, was done as a sort of foretaste. If I'm misquoting correct. Was done as a sort of foretaste of a Baumia administration, if that is to, at least in some sectors or in some areas, and all that. There have some who have also suggested that the vice president threw the president under the bus by seeking to depart from many of the initiatives that have happened in the past 7 years. There are others who believe also that it is a little self-serving for the vice president, and Uncle Janto has mentioned that here. It's a little self-serving for the vice president to now seek to dissociate himself from the last 7 years when he has been part of the decision making, as he pointed out. From where you sit and from your analysis of the speech and the commentary thereafter, are there all these commentaries? Is it in the right direction? Has the speech and the vision policy or the policy statement generated that much interest, and has it put some or has it put the vice president sort of in a pole position, for instance, in the 2024 election? Because there were some who were wondering when the vice president was going to speak, because he was elected somewhere in November of 2023. Former President Mahama was elected when? Is it June or May? Somewhere 2023. He's had a long period of time to start talking about his vision or what he wants and all that. One of the major things being a 24-hour economy, which the vice president in his speech essentially debunked that particular policy direction or prescription of the. So what are your thoughts on the vice president's speech and the commentary surrounding it subsequently?
Okay. I've heard a lot. I've read through and I've heard a lot also about people talking about vice president vision. In fact, it is a very great vision for which a lot of people have read. People sleep.
He has it by his bedside.
And dream over them over and over and over. You know, in my position, I also know the nature of Ghana and the nature of Ghana now. Ghana is going through a great paradigm shift. And I believe the vice president, as a candidate for MPP, represents that paradigm shift. We want to change from the old to the new.
Yeah, he said it was a choice between the past and the future.
Past and future. Past, where we couldn't even measure our oil quantities, where we're using dipsticks.
Don't use that anymore.
Yes, and then yes, a new form of technology.
Don't use that anymore.
Yes.
We're already in a new form of technology.
Yes, a new form, but we were using dipsticks.
Yeah.
Yes, it
We've
was
been there before.
part of dipsticks. Yes,
The
that
past.
is it. Yes.
But we are not using it.
We don't want to go back there.
Using dipsticks, that would be a different.
We don't want to go back there.
Yeah, we don't want to go back there.
We don't want to go back there.
Go back to a dipstick. No. So we are changing a system where a lot of names were on the payroll. And as a country, we became paralyzed, even as government, as to how to remove those names. It became a canker that was siphoning around 5 billion every year from taxpayer. It was colossal. A pilot at SNIT and even National Service. It was catastrophic. People who had died long ago were still receiving benefits. If you look at Auditor General report and you look at over the years, year upon year, when you read ghost names, people who were paid, you know, but they were considered non-existent, you know, if you ask. So why were they paid? We need to change from that, and that will save us a lot. That will save us. So the taxpayer was all the time paying this. In fact, it is the taxpayer who was paying the ghost.
Exactly.
The taxpayer.
Like putting water in a basket.
Yes. without showing any resource. We need a system that you do the payroll audit. So the real time we know you exist. And we will not pay you. And that is why, per the exercise that we did and what we are putting in place, we are saying that by 5th of March, those who believe that they should be paid should show themselves up.
Verification.
A net has been thrown. And if you are not very careful and you are out of the net, you'll be classified as a ghost. So he is fighting that. What about our gold reserves? An initiative that we realize has brought results. Ghana gold reserve since independence was 8.7 tons.
Mm-hmm.
Since from independence up to
60,
this time, how many years?
ago.
Over 60 years. Within the last 1 year, what is the state of our gold reserves? An initiative of the Vice President. It is, yes, it is 26 tons now. From 8.7 to 26 now. It is verifiable.
Yeah.
It is verifiable. This is a figure we can't run away from. You can verify it and see for yourself. So if the previous governments had done that, the idea the Vice President brought, what would be the state of Ghana gold reserve and, for that matter, our foreign reserves in general? Countries use gold to build foreign reserves. Our foreign reserves should not be reading the figure we are seeing by now. So we need a change. A system where we will continuously build our reserves and change for the better. This is the situation now. National identification, he talked about it. 2016, from 2007 to 2016, a period of about 20 years or so, national ID registration was only 900,000. Now it is 17 million. What is the percentage increase here? Why do we need the national identification? We need it for a good purpose. National identification. Even in some countries, cows have national ID, bearing the cow has a national identification of the owner. So in Ghana, when you go and put your money there, you just put your money there, nobody is there, you buy a land, nobody knows. That is why people steal money and they run away with it, they get away. Because you can steal money and go and buy a land and it will not be on your database. The time will come, this system will be over. And that is what the Vice President is trying to achieve. You buy the land, it will go into your database. You put the money into your accounts, your database is showing. To at any point in time, we know properties that you have. Your balances, the sources of your money, maybe related tax elements that you are paying to the state. And investigators can question you, the sources of your money. If you do this, are you not finding antidote to corruption? And corruption purposes, especially those with an intent to corrupt.
Yeah.
Mobile money interoperability, all these things are all his initiatives. Are you aware that the contract that was signed for mobile money interoperability was $1.2 billion and had to be cancelled? How much did this government use? $4.5 million to use mobile money interoperability. But we were going to dole out $1.2 billion. Hey! All these things, the vice president played a significant role. And they show it. The number of mobile money interoperability transaction from 78 billion, 78.5 billion around 2016, Ghana cedis around 2016, to 1.9 trillion. Look at the volume of mobile money transaction, the increase in the volume of mobile money transactions. So he's looking at database, national database ecosystem to put everybody there. And that is what he's seriously doing. And that is what he's seriously talking about. And that is the shift. Yes. So he's putting that into another realm where it is not going to be manual issues where you have ghost names, delays, and all that. Moving it for the better. Even, let me tell you, when you are born today, you know, I'm in charge of that contract. I'm in charge of that activity there, which it is supervised and coordinated at the vice president office. I'm in charge at the World Bank. They have delivered all the processes, the systems, and all that. Monday, I'm going to inspect. Finally, that is why when he said that by the first quarter, he would launch newborn babies. Yeah. He said it. It means that by March ending, he will be able to launch such a system. So when you are born, you are captured. So it is from the womb to the tomb that the vice president is developing. You are born, you are captured. When you die, you are also captured. So we know your transition. And we'll build a family tree. Nobody comes from anywhere and says, I am a Ghanaian, maybe working somewhere, and he says, I'm a Ghanaian, and he finds a way of getting his name or even getting passport and the rest. The family tree is there.
Yeah.
So, dog, to capture you, that is why your mother, your father, all of them were mentioned. We are building the root of the tree. It will build up. It will have branches. Your children's names will be there. Your children, your grandchildren, all of them will be there. So if somebody comes and mentions your name, even when we know, maybe it will happen to anybody, what will even leave you to your maker, it will be known under the system. One of the days qualifications and people will come and say they have fake certificates. All these things will be known. So Ghana is moving towards a serious paradigm shift. And we need a serious person who knows, who has tried and tested it, who has practiced it. Sometimes when he decides to bring in some of these things, some bystanders and pedestrians, maybe people say, oh, we won't do it. Drones are coming to look for certain things I won't mention. You see, when words are changing and leaving some people behind, instead of learning and following, you know, they laugh about it. Before they become aware, it has catch up with them. Drones are coming to look for certain things I will not mention. Only God knows. Hey!
He knows about it.
He knows.
He knows. Hey! Macho. Mercy, papa. Things have really happened. Things have indeed happened in Ghana. Hey, so a human being said it.
Happening.
Human being said it. Your own Samia Uku. When we said that we were going to do free menstrual pass for students. Do you know what she said?
He said what?
Find out.
He said what?
We had a policy initiative to ensure that our young girls in school
We'll
There
get
is something
the
that is
menstrual pass.
for
Did
free.
you implement it?
No, for
Did-
free.
was it
Did you
implemented?
implement
You know what your party said?
Did you
Did you
implement
implement
it?
We're going to use it for ritual purposes.
Did you
No,
implement
was
it?
it
Those kinds of
implemented?
comments have
Then
no,
if
no,
you
no.
didn't implement it, then that was what you were going to use it for.
Okay,
Now, why don't you implement it and
implement
see
it?
whether it will be looked
so
at?
we can all agree.
Yes.
We can all agree that.
Yes.
Politicize some of these.
Yeah.
No, I'm not mentioning
No,
Samia.
no,
So I'm
no,
telling, I'm
So-
talking about what Dr. Mahmoud Babia is doing.
Okay,
I'm not
alright.
discussing Samia.
Exactly.
I'm not discussing him. I'm discussing what he
Has
said
done.
he would do, what
Has
he's
done.
transforming, and people were laughing at him.
Okay. So yeah, I need to go around the table and come back. To you,
Okay,
but-
okay.
but-
So it is good.
yeah.
His vision is great. He is a person who can represent us for that great vision. He has demonstrated in the past in this government that indeed he represents it. He represents the great paradigm shift. Since he came on board professionally, intellectually, he has distinguished himself. Governance too, he has distinguished himself. Now he is the flag bearer and he is carrying the party forward. His vision is great, and I don't think that anybody listening and hearing this vision will say that the person is just talking for talking's sake.
Okay.
I pray that Ghanaians listen to him, vote for him in 2024, December, and then at the end of it all, this good vision will crystallize for all of us to benefit.
All right. So picking up from where you left off and the issues of depoliticizing some of the policy initiatives and
Yeah.
things of that sort. One thing I found interesting in the speech, and I'm coming to you, Kwame Jantua, it's something that all of us here have talked about it before in times past, over the past few years, having a national development plan. And if you read or listen to Dr. Bamia's speech, he made it clear that he would, and maybe I should read that part, and then we can delve into that part and any other part you want to talk about. But this is of importance. He says, "I believe we can find broad contours of a national development plan for which we can find consensus in areas such as education, health, industrialization, environment, etc. I will support such a consensus national development plan. Specifically, I will propose to amend Article 87 of the 1992 Constitution as well as the NDPC Act, the National Development Planning Commission Act, Act 479, to mandate political party manifestos and consequently economic and social policies of government as well as budgets to be aligned to the agreed on broad contours in specific sectors." This is something that we've been talking about here before, and you in particular have always been a great advocate of having a national plan and depoliticizing things. Ni has also said that there are some things that we should take off the plate of politics and all that. Isn't this a concrete proposal which meets the expectations of some of us and which we've been talking about? And this is a presidential candidate that's saying that I have listened and this is the way to go.
I think both presidential candidates, and even apart from probably, I don't know, I haven't heard, but probably he has mentioned it somewhere, Bediako. But all three of the presidential candidates who we know are going to
How
stand.
about your own?
Who's three?
Maybe they are looking at Bediako.
No, I'm talking about Mr. Jantra himself.
So maybe they are looking at third force.
Please,
He is also
please,
a presidential.
please.
Oh, okay. Okay, it's
Yeah,
good to
presidential
know.
No, Ni
Ah,
go
CPP
ahead.
presidential.
I'm not, please.
You're not?
I'm not.
He
Oh,
has
okay.
intentions of standing.
Oh, Ni.
The youth are calling for him.
Are you speculating or this a fact?
This is a fact. The youth have been
Oh,
calling for
okay.
him. You should see them.
My
back
brother,
there.
if you are going, let
Please
them-
don't mind him. Please don't mind him.
The youth-
Okay.
the youth
Please
have
don't
been
mind
calling
him.
for
I see.
Please don't mind him.
CPP flag bearer.
Please
Oh,
don't
I
mind
see.
him. Don't mind him.
shouting.
It's not true, my dear sisters.
Okay.
I don't know why you always take the bait of Ni. Just
Mischief. I think all three that we know, probably I haven't heard from Bediako, but even when you listen to Bediako,
Who's Bediago?
Shut up.
yes, Bediako,
Is it a political party?
no, the gentleman who says he wants to stand for president.
Are you serious? Where you go
He's
to get
he's what you call it is everywhere.
Billboards all
His
over the
billboards
place.
are everywhere.
But they
As
get
if
those roads.
you use billboards to win elections. It doesn't happen that way. We saw it in
I've seen
2008.
some construction for Winneba.
Whatever the case is. All those who are going to be on the ballot have talked about, in some form or another, a national development plan. I have had
it's not a big deal.
I have had an experience of the national development plan because I was part of the team that drafted the energy sector of the 40-year national development plan by President Atamels.
Yes, yeah.
And it is important to have a national development plan. It is quite gratifying to hear Vice President Baumia talk about a national development plan. It is quite gratifying to hear him say that he would look at the NDPC Act, because for some of us, the NDPC should be on its own, not under any institution like the way it's under the presidency today. We do need a national development plan. Look, when we were doing the 40-year national development plan, we requested for party manifestos to be part and parcel, looking at it to how we can put it in. The MPP weren't prepared. The MPP weren't prepared. They wanted a situation where their manifesto would be the be-all and end-all of the 40-year national development plan. You say, not possible. Even to get members of the MPP on the committees was only one. Only one. And so, if Vice President Baumia is talking about national development plan, understandable. But the most important thing is to make sure that if that is what you're going to do, it has to be whole. I would expected him to say, Ghana at this material moment, it doesn't look as if party manifestos has worked for us. One of the major things I would put in place is to look at a long-term national development plan of all political parties being part and parcel of it.
But how do political parties be part? It's the manifestos. You see, you can't also, you have to be a realist. The political system that we have doesn't look like it's going, thank God it doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon, because we've agreed that democracy is the way to go. Despite its shortfalls, despite all the challenges that we have, we all here will agree that it's a better alternative. And these political parties are going to be with us. They represent the people by and large, the views of the people. So if I'm saying that you can't have a consensus in terms of national development without factoring what these major political parties are saying they will do in the event of they coming into power. And what he's saying is that he wants to amend the constitution, amend the NDPC Act to ensure that there's consensus and political party manifestos will be sort of included in terms of or aligned with the agreed on broad contours of certain specific sectors, so that you cannot necessarily depart from what has been agreed on. If this is the national plan, that in terms of the economy or in terms of the budget, we are not going to do X, your manifesto cannot say depart from it, which will be a constitutional prescription. And the reason why I'm making this intervention is that you can't simply wish away political parties and their manifestos. It will always be there. They would always say, if I come, I want to do this. So isn't this a way of streamlining, and goes back to what we've always been saying, that there are certain things that let's all agree. The politics that we will do. There are certain things that are fair game, like we always say. There are certain things that there are punches here and there. We will do the political things. But when it comes to certain specific sectors, national security, the economy, and things of that, so let's have a broad plan, even sports.
Yes.
Let's have a plan.
Rock, let me come here a little bit.
I'm not taking your time away.
No, please, I beg you. Let me tell you honestly.
At His Excellency, that's all.
Yeah.
Let me tell you honestly.
Speaking like one.
Let me tell you honestly.
He always
to
does.
Ghanaians that, and then to our listeners, that political parties' manifestos are usually used for election purposes. When you form government, you need to bring all your promises, everything, under a development plan, under NDPC, under the National Integrated Social and Economic Development Policies. That document is what is used to govern a country. You need to present it. The president has launches, it is there. The integrated program for social economic development activity, it is there. So NDPC also has a scheme. You bring your manifesto, probably some of them may be thrown out. That was why one-time premium was unable to be introduced by the NDC.
The National Health Insurance.
Under the health insurance. Because it wasn't feasible. They couldn't argue very well that it was feasible. And it was thrown out. And they have never told their people that it wasn't feasible. And what we told you we would do was just for campaign purposes. You can say so many things, maybe as a candidate. But when you go there, the manifesto and your promises must all fall under the scheme I am telling you. And if you fail to align it very well, it will be thrown out. They will not allow you to waste Ghana money on it. Yes, it will go to Parliament. Parliament will not even approve a budget for that activity. Parliament will not approve it. So this digitalization agenda, whatever the Vice President is talking about, is there. It is in that document. And then you develop a strategy. You see, let me tell you, that strategy is this one. Developed at my office. And it was launched.
All right.
You've seen that one. You see the document I'm talking about. You can read to Ghanaians. So manifesto that we are talking about is usually when you are looking for votes.
Okay. All right. So the point has been made.
That was the next point I was going to come to. That was the next point I was going to come to, because when you look at party manifestos over this Fourth Republic, how many governments have actually stood by their manifestos?
Yes.
How many? Very few. But you see, the most important thing is that, the political parties would want to use manifestos. But as I keep saying, and you repeated it here, the people are part and parcel of the governance. So if you're bringing a long-term national development plan out, the people have to be part of that.
Yes.
I'll give you an example. When we were doing the 40-year national development plan, where didn't we go? Who didn't we interview? Kaya Yos and all were interviewed. They were integrated into the 40-year national development plan. So if you come and say, oh, this is what I want to do, this is where we are going, the people should understand and the people should know it. But the challenge I have is the fact that at this point, Doc, it's flowery to say all these things you want to say. Very flowery. When you now get in there and the mechanics of your party start moving on you, would you be able to stand it? Would you be able to execute it? Sometimes you've got to have a hard head of steel to say, over my dead body, we are sticking to this. And sometimes it's a challenge. Because why? Sometimes people have personal interest in there which they want to execute. It's not everybody who comes into power who is ready to look at the broad picture. A lot of people come into power because of their own personal interest. Now, let me end by saying, what Dr. Bawumia said, I felt there were two things that are paramount and key to whatever any president wants to do: mindset and law enforcement. If you can't change the mindset of the people, no matter whatever you bring in there, they'll find ways around it.
Yeah. But that's why he started by saying,
if you are not able to enforce your laws, forget it. You can bring the finest lady with the cares, with everything. the kind of men who follow her, you will not even like it and ask
Women have
yourself
suffered
why.
today.
You are very important people, women. You are very important. It's that we men,
right.
we don't appreciate you. Well, you are very important.
I wish you could raise it.
So what Vice President Bawumia
want
said,
him to react
whatever any presidential candidate is coming to say, they need to be able to prove to us that they can execute when they come.
Have we the people over the years, and maybe I'll go to Laura too,
Yes.
but later on you can, have we the people over the years, just like you're saying that we are key stakeholders, the buy-in has to come from us. We need to be made aware of where we're going. Our views need to be known in terms of what we want, how the Ghana that we want to build and all that. But have we as a people from time immemorial been able to hold our political office holders to account? That you said this dispassionately, not on the basis of politics or political gains or anything of that sort. Have we dispassionately held our political office holders to account?
If you want to look at it in terms of elections, it is started. Look what happened in Parliament. The way we voted for the president, but made sure that Parliament was a very dicey place. So it started, and it will build up.
We are learning.
Laura too.
Yes, Doc. I mean, to start off from where you ended with a bit of have we the people been able to demand? One thing I keep saying is, if you stay in your corner and say politics is dirty and say people are in power, when you go and buy fuel, when you go to the shop and even pick a bottle of water, you are the one funding whatever is being used to run the nation. So the fact that you voted people into power doesn't mean you should sit aloof and wait and say 4 years, I'll go and vote them out. And that has been our attitude over the years that has brought us into some of the issues we have and we are bedeviled with.
But how do we hold them to account? We'll say
How
it
do
and
we-
then what will happen?
How do you hold
Yeah. Aside the 4 year waiting for
Yes.
4 years, if you, for instance, you ask account to us,
yes.
tell us what you do. You
How
said you
many
do
of
this.
us? How many of us show interest in what happens in our parliament? How many of us show interest in what happens in our districts?
Oh, we
have
don't
a-
even vote in the
we
district
we have
assembly
a
elections
very
even to start.
elaborate governance system that over the years,
Yeah, have you ever
we've-
voted
it's
in the
like
district
we've
assembly
cut.
elections?
You see, it's like we've cut the head off, and we are dealing with the body. Why do we say we've cut the head off and we are dealing with the body?
Why your party brought this and
This and
Yeah.
you know.
We hold our
You
assemblymen to
You
account
have
for
how
instance.
many of us? How many of us know the unit committee
Yeah,
members?
yeah.
How many of us know the assemblyman or assemblywoman? We are always looking at the top, but the decision starts at that level, and that is where you are. Your unit committee member is the one that goes to sit at the assembly, makes decisions for you, determines what your community needs. It goes to the district level, goes to the regional level, and comes to the national level.
But who's
So-
to blame for that?
If you don't show, all of us, all of us, it's not one particular person, all of us.
Is it
So
also
if
because that we've not
if
been made
all of
aware?
us, those of us who say we know, start showing interest. And I always use the analogy: if you say politics is dirty, but at the end of the day, we've chosen democracy. It's politicians that will rule. So if you know better than I do, and you think you don't want to muddy yourself, I mean, if you keep sweeping dirt under the carpet, definitely one day you can't sit on the carpet. It will bulge up and you fall from the chair. So we need to reorient ourselves when it comes to these things. But let's go to Dr. Bawumia's vision. I mean,
Briefly, your time is almost up.
anybody who wants to do right by you will account to you before telling you what I'm going to do. And that is what Dr. Bawumia did. All of us come from certain parts of this country. Mr. Kusi Boafo is here. He's with World Bank. Over the years, anytime they mention poor regions in this country, It's Northern Region, Volta Regional, Volta and Uti, Northern Regional, Northern Savannah, Northeast, Upper East, Upper West. Right. Why? Because those places are quite far from the center, which is the capital.
Yeah.
By the time someone moves from Bolga for something that is happening in the national capital, it's over. Recruitment, scholarships, all those things. Before some of us were born, I believe Mr. Jantua and Mr. Kwesi Boafuni is not part of it, would tell us at a point our challenges were infrastructure. Our challenges were potable water, electricity. They are still challenges, but not the challenges we are caught up with. We've come to realize that one of the greatest bane of the development of this country is corruption. How do you deal with corruption in these modern times? It's putting in place systems that can self-check. So if I have a vice president who is champion digitalization, now when it comes to scholarships that people had to go and queue and get, you can sit in Bolga, you can sit in my village in Impaha and apply. We had times where if you don't have anybody at a certain level in your family who could guarantee a loan for you, student loan was a problem. But now you have your own identity. You have your Ghana card. You can go and get a student loan without a guarantor. Those are the things we are talking about. Those are the basic things we are talking about. There were times that every day or every other day, you hear market women have been stopped on the way, going to purchase items to come and sell, and their monies have been taken from you. Mobile money interoperability. So for me, if you have such a person who is already shown such commitment to dealing with the main problem, how do you develop? You listen to utility producers, providers, ECG Water, and they'll tell you rather than development chasing their facilities, they are chasing development. So Ghana Water doesn't have plans of laying pipes in my area, but because I've gone to build there and I'm a Ghanaian, they have to be there. How do you take care of these things? It's by having the data. And that is one of the things that the Ghana card will deal with. So for me, a flag bearer who is showing this promise as against a former president who is still talking about infrastructure and talking about 24-hour economy when we are still building our 8-hour economy. And 24-hour economy is demand and supply.
But infrastructure is still a problem.
No, it is, but not as it used to be. But not as it used to be.
1 hour every week for this.
I mean, you have people operating. Now you have people operating their businesses online.
Yeah.
You go onto Instagram, you go onto Facebook, and you go all adding up to the national kitty.
Okay.
You know, so we need to be progressive and stop the past and all that. That's why he said it's between the future and the past. The world has become a small place. You can't keep doing things as if you are living on an island. We are in the 4th industrial revolution. Even the European Commission has designated the 5th industrial revolution, which is going to that's what I'm saying. No, but
all right, okay, so let me
he's continuing it, and he's accounted to you what he has done and what he can do.
Okay, all right.
Let's compare. One has been president before. This one hasn't been president before, but he already has things that shows that what was already there.
Let me give you the last word.
Let me tell you what.
Only have
let me borrow one of your this thing. Yes. Maybe I just you see Ghana. Our system was so much informal that even our GDP is underestimated. There are several activities that have not been captured.
Personal interest.
Several activities. You look at a situation where one thing like somebody, you can even put up a building somewhere and it not be known. Somebody may be having a lot of cattle somewhere. You know, it has not been captured.
Yeah.
You see, a carpenter activity has not been captured. A mason activity has not been captured. When you have a system like this,
Exactly.
there are a whole lot of problems.
Continue next week.
We need data
Okay,
to develop better.
Continue next week. Continue next week.
No, just the
I knew why.
Oh no, as in
Your soul?
Oh, no.
No, he has Dr. Bamia's lecture
Yes.
printed by his bedside.
I said-
He reads it every morning.
Now that the political season has started,
He reads it every
week
morning.
we'll have an opportunity to
come,
For us,
okay.
For us, the most
He
important
is
thing is the economy.
confused.
Okay.
He is convinced.
So when you are
Alright.
coming, call me.
He is
All right,
convinced.
thank you. Thank you all so much. That's all time for the last today. This is a conversation that we will keep having. This morning I was joined by Nikpapo Samado, lawyer, lecturer, Loratu Musa Saka, who is a member of the New Patriotic Party and the communications team. Thomas Kusibuafo, Head of Public Sector Reforms, Office of the President, as well as Project Coordinator for Reforms, World Bank, Ghana. And Kwame Jantua, a lawyer and a member of the Convention People's Party. We talked about the ministerial reshuffle and we talked about Vice President Baumia's speech. And so this conversation will be going on, I'm quite certain, as we go along. We're in the political season, so we will be delving into these issues as we go along. Thank you. Yes, and any new ones that come up. So thank you all for staying tuned and listening to us. My name is Kweku Ajiman Budu. As we always say, stay informed until next week. Team Talk is up next.